You make a cup of coffee the way you always have. You take a sip, and something's just missing. Not bad, just quieter than it once was. You find yourself reaching for a little more salt, a little more sugar, chasing a flavor that used to arrive on its own. If that feels familiar, stay with me, because what's happening is gentler and more fixable than you'd think. Before we go further, a gentle note. This is general information about how taste and smell tend to change with age, not medical advice, and not a diagnosis of your particular meals. Think of it as a calmer way to understand what's happening, and a few kind ways to bring some of the pleasure back. Let's start with a secret that changes everything. Most of what you think of as taste isn't taste at all. Your tongue is actually quite simple. It senses only about 5 basic things: sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and savory, that deep, meaty richness sometimes called umami. That's it. 5 notes. Everything beyond those 5, all the character and depth you love in a meal, is built somewhere else entirely. So where does all the rest come from? The warmth of fresh bread? The brightness of an orange? The comfort of a favorite stew? Almost all of it comes from your sense of smell. When you chew, tiny aromas drift up the back of your throat into your nose. Your brain blends those smells with the 5 tastes from your tongue, and only then do you experience what we call flavor. Researchers describe the vast majority of flavor as coming from smell, not taste. So when food starts to seem flat, the change is usually happening in your nose, far more than on your tongue. And here's why that matters. As we age, our sense of smell tends to gently fade. The National Institute on Aging notes that a gradual decline in smell is a common, normal part of growing older. The number of scent receptors slowly decreases, and the ones that remain become a little less sensitive. It happens so slowly that most people don't notice the smell changing at all. They just notice that food tastes different, and they blame the food. So if your coffee seems weaker, or your favorite dish feels like it's missing something, it likely isn't the recipe, and it isn't your imagination. It's that gentle shift in smell, quietly changing the flavor your brain builds. Taste itself changes too, though usually more gently. The taste buds become a little less sensitive over time, and often the first notes to fade are sweet and salty. This is part of why so many of us start reaching for the salt shaker or the sugar bowl, trying to reach a level of flavor that used to come easily. And this is where I want to add a gentle word of care, because here's a place where a little understanding protects you. When sweet and salty fade first, it's easy to add more and more salt or sugar without realizing it. If you're watching your heart health or your blood sugar, that quiet creep is worth knowing about. This isn't about restriction or worry. It's simply that flavor and nourishment can be supported in other ways. A word with your own doctor or a dietitian can help you find what's right for you. Because the good news is this: once you understand that flavor is mostly smell, you have so many gentle ways to bring the joy of eating back without simply piling on salt and sugar. You can lean into aromas. Fresh herbs, garlic, ginger, a squeeze of lemon, a little warmth from spices. These wake up the smell side of flavor, which is exactly the side that fades. A dish rich in herbs and aromatics can taste vivid again, even as smell gently changes. You can play with texture and temperature, too. A bit of crunch, a fresh contrast, a warm dish served truly warm so its aromas rise. These all deepen the experience of a meal beyond what the tongue alone provides. There's also real joy in variety. When every bite is the same, the brain quietly tunes it out, the way you stop noticing a sound that never changes. But a plate with different colors, textures, and aromas keeps your senses awake and engaged. A scatter of fresh herbs, a wedge of something tart, a contrast of soft and crisp. These small touches give your brain more to work with, and a meal can feel vivid again, even as smell gently shifts. And you can slow down. So much of flavor is attention. When you eat without rushing, breathe in the aroma, Truly notice each bite. You give your brain the time it needs to build the fullest flavor it can from the signals it receives. None of these are cures, and none are guarantees. They're simply gentle, joyful ways to make eating rich again. If you have specific concerns about your appetite or nutrition, your own doctor or a qualified dietitian is always the best guide. Now, here's where I want to be careful and clear with you, because reassurance must never become dismissal. While a slow, gradual change in smell and taste over years is a normal part of aging, a sudden change is not. If you lose your sense of smell or taste suddenly, or notice a rapid change over days or weeks, that's worth a conversation with your doctor. A persistent, strange, or unpleasant taste that won't go away, or smell changes alongside other new symptoms, are also worth checking. None of these mean the worst, but all of them deserve a professional's careful attention, because smell and taste can sometimes reflect things worth looking into. Understanding what's normal isn't about ignoring what isn't. It's about freeing you from worrying over the ordinary, so you can notice what genuinely deserves a closer look. But for the slow, gentle fading that comes with the years, there is so much room for peace and for pleasure. Think back to that cup of coffee, the one that seemed a little quieter than it used to be. It isn't that coffee has lost its magic. It's that the conversation between your nose and your tongue has changed, gently, the way it does with age. And now that you understand it, you can meet it with curiosity instead of worry. You can brew it a little stronger, breathe in its aroma before you sip, and let yourself notice what's still there to enjoy. Now, if this brought you a little comfort, here's a gentle thought. You almost certainly know someone your age who's quietly noticed the same thing, perhaps adding more salt at dinner, wondering why their favorite meal feels different. If this helped you understand it, consider sharing it with them so it can settle their mind too. And if you do, I'd love it if you came back and left a comment about how it felt to pass this along. Those small moments of connection are what this little channel is for. Because the table is still one of life's great pleasures. The flavors may arrive a little differently now, but with a little understanding and a little care, your meals can stay rich and warm and yours. And if a change in your taste or smell ever feels sudden or troubling, that's exactly the kind of thing to bring to your own doctor, who can look at your whole picture with care. But for the gentle, gradual shift that comes with time, you can let it be what it is. Not a loss. Just your senses, changing the way they do after 60, and still with so much left to savor.